The Clapper was accused of perjury in denying the existence of the National Security Agency surveillance program and was personally implicated in the scandal that WikiLeaks triggered. Clapper was asked directly before Congress, does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans? Clapper responded, quote, no, sir, not wittingly, end of quote. Later, Clapper said his testimony was, quote, the least untruthful, end of quote, statement he could make. That would still make it a lie, of course, but this is Washington and people like Clapper are untouchable. In the view of the establishment, Assange is the problem. So on CNN, Clapper was allowed to explain, without any hint of self-awareness or contradiction, that Assange has, quote, caused us all kinds of grief in the intelligence community, end of quote. Indeed, few people seriously believe that the government is aggrieved about password protection. The grief was the disclosure operations and controversies long unknown to the American people. Assange will be convicted of the felony of causing embarrassment in the first degree. Notably, no one went to jail or was fired for the surveillance programs. Those in charge of failed congressional oversight were reelected. Clapper was never charged with perjury. Even figures shown to have lied in the Clinton emails, like former CNN commentator Donna Brazile, who lied about giving Clinton's campaign questions in advance of the presidential debates, are now back on television. Assange, however, could well do time. With Assange's extradition, all will be well again in Washington. As Senator Manchin declared, Assange is their property and will be punished for his sins. Once he is hoisted as a wretch, few will again entertain such hubris in the future.
Let's just talk about those in the past who were punished. Punished for, I love John Steinbeck. I love the book, The Pearl. Taught it for years. Listen to his words. An unbelieved truth can hurt much more than a lie. It takes great courage to back truth. Unacceptable in our times. There's a punishment for it, and it's usually crucifixion. And don't think they don't have drool dripping out of their mouth now, including Hillary, with the prospect of crucifying Assange.
Oh, yeah.
This Easter season, no pun intended. And the thing is, Darren, he's not the first one.
No.
Let's talk about the excellent movie of a whistleblower about Gary Webb called Kill the Messenger. A brave investigative journalist single-handedly put one simple declarative fact in front of the American public. Our president authorized, with Oliver North's help, a plan to smuggle cocaine to L.A., a city of 6 million people, addicted to cocaine, take the profits, and pay a bunch of right-wing conservatives called the Contras with the money profit from the drug sales. Gary Webb brought it out. The establishment media crucified him to the point that he committed suicide. And if you wonder about the character of the man, go to the movie, Kill the Messenger. At the end of the movie, it shows him playing with his 2 or 3 daughters. Yeah. I can go on. The guy from that blew the whistle on the My Lai massacre. We talked about him before the show. Mr. Thomas, is that his name?
Let me see. Are you talking about
Hugh Thompson?
Hugh Thompson.
Hugh Thompson received death threats for years upon blowing a whistle. Well, on one guy who machine gunned 22 innocent civilians right there on the edge of the town called My Lai.
Yep, the My Lai massacre during the Vietnam War.
There's a guy that people aren't aware of. Obermeyer broke the story, now termed the Panama Papers. Blew the whistle on a firm called Mossack Fonseca that implicated hundreds of rich celebrities here in United States, world leaders around the world. They pressure. He had an army of over 400 journalists that for years worked on this case because they knew they would be attacked mercilessly by the establishment. The list of these heroes, of which people don't even know their name, goes on and on. Jeff Wingard, that was a scientist, I think a chemist somewhere in the tobacco industry, came out and said, hey, wait a minute. They knew about all this stuff. They knew about the chemical that would make the cigarette keep burning. He had the goods on them, blew the whistle. There was a lawsuit because of his work that sued the tobacco industry. The tobacco industry was supposed to pay billions of dollars, Darren, to state and local governments, and only a portion was ever paid back. And there's not 1 out of 1,000 Americans that know the name of Jeff Wingard, but they know the leading point scorer for the Pistons by heart, where he went to high school. They know the measurements of the starlets that walk up and down the fashion model lanes, but they don't know the people who try to make a difference in our world.
And you know why that is? What does the mainstream media focus on? They focus on people like Lori Laughlin.
That's right.
People like the Kardashian family.
That's right.
Like the sports celebrities. Although sports is cut pretty much from local news anymore these days. And
listen, I love sports. You know what? I'm the first guy to love an athletic contest. But to idolize a celebrity or to take an athlete who's a superhuman being physically over these people who are ostracized and made into villains is a crime that this morning we're just not going to let slip by, folks.
Yep, and a lot of people like to say that, well, Assange did this, he's a criminal. We actually had a response to posting the USA Today editorial that I just read, and I'll read it here. Says, no, comparing Julian Assange to these other people is false. He chose to weaponize the information he had for a purpose, and in doing so lost every bit of respect I might have had for him in the past. He is not Chelsea Manning or Reality Winner. Well, when you mention WikiLeaks, as I have said before, and I'll say it again, you have to put 2 words in front of WikiLeaks. Those words are award-winning.
Yeah.
Here's the list, folks. 2008, Index on Censorship presented WikiLeaks with their inaugural Economist New Media Award. 2009, Amnesty International awarded WikiLeaks their media award for exposing extrajudicial killings and disappearances in Kenya. In 2009, Ars Electronica awarded WikiLeaks an award of distinction in the digital communities category. In 2010, Time Magazine Person of the Year, People's Choice, the highest global vote, and the Sam Adams Award for Integrity. In 2011, the Walkley Foundation for Journalism awarded the most outstanding contribution to journalism, Walkley Award, to WikiLeaks. The Sydney Peace Foundation Gold Medal, the Martha Gellhorn Prize for Journalism, the Blanquerna Award for Best Communicator, the Walkley Award for Most Outstanding Contribution to Journalism, the Voltaire Award for Free Speech, the International Piero Passetti Journalism Prize of the National Union of Italian Journalists, the Seven Jose Cuso Press Freedom Award from Collectio Professional, I can't even pronounce that. The Blanquerna Faculty of Communication awarded the Blanquerna Best Communicator Award to WikiLeaks. That was all in 2011. 2012, Privacy International Hero Privacy Award was awarded to WikiLeaks. In 2013, the Global Exchange Human Rights People's Choice Award, the Yoko Ono Lennon Courage Award for the Arts, and the Brazilian Press Association Human Rights Award. In 2014, they were awarded the Kazakhstan Union of Journalists Top Prize. Now, that's what they've won. They've also been nominated 6 times in a row, consecutive years from 2010 to 2015, for the Nobel Peace Prize. They received a nomination for the UN Mandela Prize in 2015.
Yeah.
Award-winning.
Yeah, and now he's lined up by the state for crucifixion, in Chris Hedges' words. The arrest Thursday of Assange eviscerates all pretense of the rule of law and the rights of a free press. There's a term we don't hear much anymore, Darren, the rights of free press. Mm-hmm. The illegalities embraced by the Ecuadorian, British, and U.S. governments in the seizure of Assange are ominous. They presage a world where the internal workings, abuses, corruption, lies, and crimes, especially war crimes, carried out by corporate states and the global ruling elite, will be masked from the public. Wait a second. Listen to that sentence. They're in a world where the internal workings, abuses, corruptions, lies, crimes, war crimes, carried out by the corporate states and the global ruling elite will be masked from the public. Assange was a man, these are my words, that took that mask off. They presage a world where those with the courage and integrity to expose the misuse of power will be hunted down, tortured, subjected to sham trials, and given lifetime prison terms in solitary confinement. That's the direction Assange is headed for.
Mm-hmm.
They besiege an Orwellian dystopia where news is replaced with propaganda, trivia, and entertainment. The rest of Assange, I fear, marks the official beginning of the corporate totalitarianism that I'm going to shut her off.
Yeah.
That define our lives.
Yep.
I don't know why we're getting music. That's gone now.
Yeah. Something else that popped up last night, and you're going to love this, Jack. I was tipped off to this on Facebook. Somebody posted a link to this. WikiLeaks has done a humongous data drop as of last night. I've got the index right here.
Is that right? Good.
It is.
Go down fighting.
Insane. Let me read some of these. Afghanistan OEF property list. Charterhouse. Iraq OIF property list. WikiLeaks spy files. Anaconda. Aryan Nation 2009. Bear Essentials. Barclays Tax Avoidance. SEM Censored. Guardian 2009. Barnes & Noble Store Management 2009. Blood and Honor Database 2009. Budapest Gay Rights Riot 2008. Clinton emails. This is going down. Italy Child Sex 2008. Julius Baer Stalking. Kenya Iminyara Threat 2009. Wow, this is very, very lengthy. And there's links to just everything here. There's so much to go through. Z, Blackwater Employee Declaration 2009.
Well, Darren,
this is crazy, Jack.
Yeah, and that list, they only have one balance. The deep state has only one way to counteract that list of journalism truth. You know what it is? That's to kill the messenger.
Mm-hmm.
They will stretch him every which way because they got to cover their rear ends with his skin. That's the only way they have to get out of this. They did it with Daniel Ellsberg. I'm a little older. I remember when the Ellsberg papers came out, people go, wait a minute, there's the truth. Here's what really was behind the actions in Vietnam. Word for word, empirically logged, journalistic expose by Daniel Ellsberg. And he has an article out now, I'm going to take time to read it, where he says they're doing the same exact thing to Assange they did with me. A character assassination.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on and on. Every single person who has stood up and spoken the truth. You talk about these awards. Gary Webb won awards. All kinds of awards. Before he was assassinated. I mean, his reputation was dragged through the mud. Ellsberg, Webb, Assange, Bernstein, Woodward, Snowden, Manning. Here's my hero. He's not a 300-pound fullback, okay? He's not a guy like Joe Biden, who now we can show today endorsed a GOP Senator Susan Collins in 2020. He's not a guy who is fond of grabbing women by their privates, who his entire life has lived a life of upside-down Robin Hood, which means stealing from the poor to give to the rich. My hero is a woman that may weigh 100 pounds, named Chelsea Manning.
Yeah.
Who sacrificed her very sanity, because don't tell me you don't lose it, being locked up in solitary confinement for months, to blow the whistle on the military-industrial complex, to show you what really is going on.
Mm-hmm. This is just something else. And people are forgetting, Donald Trump loves WikiLeaks. Well, guess what? The liberals did too years ago when WikiLeaks was exposing some of the stuff that was happening, that was being perpetrated by conservatives. But now that the tables have turned, we can't. Hey,
listen,
yeah.
The Republicans and Democrats, they're going to attack him like a hound of wolves. Schumer's already come out maintaining that. Now get this, that Assange was working hand in hand with the Russians in the election. That was a quote yesterday. And of course, Hillary, in her very offhanded statement, said that Assange will have to pay for what he's done. Of course, all we know that he supposedly has done is to make collusion with Manning, which the media is absolutely blowing out of proportion. When they went after Manning, Darren, if you remember, they pushed so hard to try and find some connection between him and Assange because they knew that would be a linchpin. And that's the only indictment they have, Hillary, is supposedly an illegal hack. Nothing to do with the content, Hillary. Nothing to do with your conversation with Podesta. None of that's been challenged. None of that dare be challenged. You don't want to challenge Hillary because you don't want to mention it. You don't want to bring it up.
Let me add that